So now the opening lead has been selected and faced, and the action shifts to the player to the opening leader's immediate left. That person is now going to have a new designation. It's called the dummy. That's not because that person is stupid. I think it goes back to the days when being unable to speak and therefore dumb got slanged into, oh, you're a dummy, because bad slang, but it got picked up. Remember, this goes back to the 1920s, before there was such a thing as political correctness. So the term stuck, and the person who's going to do absolutely nothing, usually, other than maybe turn cards and not say anything, is called the dummy. So that person now is dummy because his or her partner won the right during the auction to actually play the cards, because that partnership was the highest bidding partnership in the auction, and the dummy's partner, the declarer, was the one who first mentioned either no trump or the trump suit if you happen to be playing in a trump. So let's assume that we're playing in a trump suit first, in which case, as the dummy lays the cards on the table, the trump suit is to the dummy's right, declarer's left. You'll see examples of this in a minute. Now, that's so that the declarer always can see and remember what the trump is. In the event that there is no trump suit, it's a no trump contract, but there may have been some bidding in suits during the actual auction. It didn't go 1 no trump, 3 no trump, all pass. You'll see that when we get to the actual auction videos. Perhaps there was some suits mentioned. Well, in order to keep declarer from making the mistake of being in no trump and thinking he's in a suit contract, because there was a possibility that we might be playing in 4 hearts and instead we're playing in 3 no trump, it's really a good idea for the dummy to set the cards down in such a way that what would have been the trump suit if we'd actually played in trumps is nowhere near the right side. Matter of fact, get it as far away from the right side as possible, as far to the dummy's left and declarer's right as possible, so that there's very little chance that the declarer can get confused, forget, and trust me, life masters, grand life masters, especially late after playing 24 boards or more in a session, get tired and can make mistakes like that. So help a fellow out. And, if it's a no trump contract, don't put a possible trump suit to the right. Put it as far away from that as possible and help your brother, okay? Help your sister. Now, once that's done, we're going to start play, right? Everybody's going to start throwing cards? No, this is the time to stop for a moment and think. This is one of the reasons why it's important that the opening lead come out in a reasonable, timely fashion, so that there's time for the rest of the players and actually the person that made the opening lead to do some thinking once the dummy comes down. There's a little process that everybody should go through, declarer especially, but the defenders should be thinking too. You don't just throw cards as defenders and hope, oh well, let's see if it works. You think through the hand. There's an acronym that's called, well, there's several of them actually, and we'll go through those in just a moment. I'm getting tired. Okay, senior moment over, for at least for a while. So there's an acronym called ARCH, A-R-C-H. And like I say, even the defenders should do this, but especially the declarer, once dummy comes down, before playing any cards, calling for a card from dummy, the declarer and, of course, the opponent should be thinking, I'm going to analyze the opening lead. What does it mean in light of the auction? What does it deny? What can I start to get a count on the opening leader's hand just from the opening lead that they made? Things like that are important. Another thing is, did the opening leader take a long time selecting the opening lead? Do it really fast or somewhere in between? And if it was really fast or really slow, what's that particular person's normal tendency? What's the proclivity that they would make a lead quickly or slowly? Maybe that person always agonizes over every card that they play, and you can't read anything into it. Maybe that person is relatively consistent and take about the same amount of time all the time to make their opening lead, and suddenly they're making one really fast or taking an extra amount of time thinking about what they're going to do. That might give a good declarer and a good defender's partner a little bit of an idea of what's going on. Read a few things. It's called table feel. So now R in the arch is review. Review the auction in your head. And again, we'll talk about auction in a couple more of these video playlists. It comes up in number 4. But you have to do some review of how did we get where we are, because those things give you clues on how to play the hand. Who's got what? The C in arch stands for count. Count winners, count losers. Count losers, even if you're defending, you try to figure out where the winners and the losers are in all 4 hands. After you've seen the dummy in your own hand, you're looking at 26 cards. Try to figure out the other 26 using the auction as a guide and using the opening lead as a guide. This is all mental work you're doing initially before anybody other than the opening leader has ever played a card. You're looking, figuring things out, doing your counting. Now the last thing is how. A-R-C-H. How. How am I going to attack this hand? If you're declarer, you figure out, am I going to cross ruff? Do I have to set up a suit? How am I going to do this? And we'll talk about declarer play in a bit. If you're a defender, try to think like a declarer. Figure out, if I were playing the hand, how would I play it if I were the declarer? Would I be trying to ruff? Would I be trying to set up a long suit? Okay, if that's the case, now how as a defender do I do things to counter that? That's what makes this game so much fun. And all this work, again, is done before declarer calls for the first card from dummy. And although it will take you a little longer at first, eventually you'll get all this work done in anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute and then get on with the play of the hand.